Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode on the podcast today. Today is going to be a really good episode because this month on the podcast, lots of different things are happening. It's a bit unusual because the last few years we've been kind of structured to do lots of different mental health things, but this month we're going to do one important mental health episode, part of Mental Health Awakening, which the last couple of years we've done a few series, but now we find that it's better just to do one or maybe a few episodes a year rather than do a series because it is hard work when you do a series. Like when you watch things on the telly, like Saturday Night Takeaway, which we're going to talk about. That's all probably pre-recorded. Um, look, it's hard, but this episode is going to be really cool. We're going to, me and Angela are joined with Lisa, where we're going to be speaking about mental health and other things that we'll get into as well. So, Angela, hello, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Glad to be here. I'm Angela T. Jackson. I'm a licensed professional counselor in the state of Tennessee. The USA, I always enjoy partnering with the UK. I'm the face of the Jackson Impact Mental Health Solutions. It's a private practice. And I am here just to highlight and chime in on the topic of mental health and why it's so important. I'm interested in learning from our guests today.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you on. Well, Angela, it's been a while since we done one. I think it was late
Yeah.
last year. So we fought to find a really good guest, and I thought I know Lisa. We've briefly met before, but it's gonna be a really cool episode. So Lisa, would you mind doing your introduction of yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Lisa Wakely. I've recently just become a debut author of a young adult fiction book called Hexed. I also like doing lots of other things in my spare time. I like to keep myself busy. So I also perform, act, also do a bit of burlesque dancing. Also a radio presenter for a local radio station near me, which is daily. Um, and I also teach young children performing arts on Saturday mornings, young 3 to 4 year olds. So yeah, I think that keeps me pretty busy. I do have some time to myself sometimes.
Keeps you busy. Always doing
It
things.
does. Very busy, yeah.
Yeah. Because lots of different things from acting yourself to teaching it to writing a book.
Yeah,
Lots of
yeah,
things.
exactly. When
Yeah,
I'm not doing anything, I fall asleep, so I have to keep myself busy.
mm, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's nice when you do fall asleep because you kind of want to, and then you'll probably think, hang on a minute, I need to do this now.
Exactly, yeah. That's how I feel like I need to be doing something when I'm just sitting there, even though I know it's important that do need some time to yourself. Um, but then yeah, I always get that thought in my head thinking, I could be doing this, I could be getting on with that.
Yeah, just
Self-care is very important. Sometimes you have to even schedule that time to take care of yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I need to learn to do that.
Yeah.
yeah. Like today I probably got up the earliest I've ever been up for ages. Because I'm a night owl. Um, but I had to be up this morning because I had lots of things to do. But it's actually nice because going out when you go out and do stuff, you feel the breeze upon your face, and it's actually quite refreshing, I think.
Yeah, it is nice because I take my dog. I've got a golden retriever called Barnum, and it is I didn't really used to like walking, but now I'm really enjoying it because I take him out early in the morning for about an hour before anybody else is out and about, and it's just nice, just me and the dog, the fresh air. It's just lovely, and it gives you time to just think, and it's quite inspiring as well. So we go out twice a day, and also in the afternoon as well at lunchtime we pop out. But yeah, it is important to go out walking. It's just you and yourself, and your imagination, inspiration, give you a break from everything.
I'll tell you a funny story about a walk I went on. I think it was last month. I went on a walk. Um, Lisa might know it. It was Highwoods Country Park.
Yeah.
I went to Highwoods Country Park and I got lost. Um,
Oh
because
no.
I went to the park. I shouldn't have done this, but I wanted to go on the walk. Went past the Tesco's near Highwood. I wanted to get lost because I just find it fun. And then I'm there and I'm in a ditch. I'm in the middle of Highwoods and I'm lost. So I send my location to my mum and I said, I'm here. The dot is me. I am the dot. And so she panics saying, I don't know where you are, I don't know where you are. And then I have to phone my dad to direct me out. And really, I didn't really get much lost. I just, because I went in this big circle, I thought I was lost, but I wasn't really. I ended up at the top anyway. So I like that about walks that you get lost, but I shouldn't have done that to be honest. But it's fun.
It is fun though, isn't it? You get to explore new places. Because sometimes when I've been writing before I publish text, I like visiting places that are similar to the places in my book. And so I've booked my own writing retreat. So it's just me on my own. And I went up to Dorset. I think that was the last one I went to. And I just booked a couple of days in this really nice cottage. I'd never been to this place before. I'd never been to Dorset. And I stayed there for a couple of nights. And it was just such a lovely area. And it was nice just wandering around, getting lost, going to all these new places I'd never been to before, going into this pub and having a meal on my own. And people were saying to me, don't you feel a bit lonely sitting there on your own with nobody there? And I just said, no, I don't. It's just inspiring because it was just me, and I was just sitting there getting all this inspiration. And I couldn't have done that if I had somebody there with me. It was nice just being there on my own, then going back to the cottage by myself and just sitting there. And I loved it. So I'm looking forward to doing another one at some point. But sometimes you just need that. You need to spend some time with yourself just to get to know yourself and what you like doing, because obviously taking someone with you, you might have completely different thoughts and what you want to do. You might want to do completely different things. Whereas going away on your own, you just do what you want when you want.
Yeah, I agree. It can be peaceful, it can be inspiring, and there's definitely a big difference between being alone and feeling lonely. That alone time is actually a healthy space. So that sounds
Definitely.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I've I've been to Dorset as well, and it's lovely there. I've been for a
Yeah, it
while,
is.
but
It's a lovely place. Lots of cobbled streets and old farmhouses. It's lovely.
yeah, I also went to last year. I went to Cornwall. It's really nice there.
Nice.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't surf, but I watched. 'Cause it's known for surfing. In Cornwall, but yeah. So with like your book, do you want to talk a little bit more about it? Like what's the book about? Like what happens in it?
So the book's called Hexed. It's a supernatural mystery. It's got a bit of horror in it as well, but it's aimed at children 9 to 14 years old. So it's centered around the protagonist who's called Harriet. Um, and she's working at her parents' holiday village. This village is a 17th century themed holiday village. So it's kind of takes you back to that period where you've got, the cobbled streets, all the houses jammed together, smells of animal manure lining the streets, which isn't nice at all, but that's how they lived back then. And the characters dress up as they would have done back in that time. So Harriet dresses as a primrose seller, and um, the story opens with her tripping over a gravestone by accident, and she thinks the gravestone is a bit weird because it's just got some really strange writing on it. So she takes a photo. She goes back to the castle, which is where they're staying as their accommodation, and she meets three other friends. Um, they read this strange writing on the gravestone. They wake up the next morning with supernatural powers, and they can't really figure out where they got it from. But they then realise they've awakened a curse from the 17th century. They've also awoken the curse of a witch from that time, and so it's up to Harriet to put this curse to rest. She's only got 24 hours to do it by the end of Halloween night. Otherwise this curse remains, um, and the village will go back to the 17th century that it used to be. But yeah, it's a story of friendship. So it's centered around Harriet and the three people that she meets there. So she makes friends. It's all about friendship. And also not judging people when you first meet them, which is something I think that everybody does when you first meet someone. Sometimes you make up your own mind about them, you make up your own stories about them, and this kind of story teaches you to not do that, or try to encourage people not to do that, and just to get to know their story first. So yeah, it's a whole mixture of different things, and also performing, because I like performing myself. My characters obviously have to dress up, because you've got the jester, you've got a primrose seller, you've got a barber surgeon, the rock dancer, they will have to act. So I've kind of added in everything that I enjoy doing into the story. But it took me 23 years to write, a long time,
Yeah.
very long time.
That's a long time. Yeah. So what inspired this story? That's an interesting share. What inspired it?
It was quite a lot of different things. So the setting was Butlins. You might not have heard of Butlins, Angela. I don't know whether you've heard of it. Have you, Mason? You know Butlins?
I haven't.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, so Butlins over here, it's a big holiday camp. So you have redcoat entertainers. It's like a whole complex of different things. You've got restaurants, and I used to go there as a teenager, and I really enjoyed going. And I thought I'd love to write a story set in a kind of holiday village. But then I thought, what if I made it 17th century? Because I love anything historical, and I like the 17th century. And I thought, what if I made it historical instead of redcoats entertainers? What about if my characters had to dress up as people from that time period? And then I also got inspiration from work. I used to work at Madame Tussauds in London. I was a guest host assistant. And so then there I got a lot of knowledge about how an attraction works, what it's like to work in an attraction, all the various people you have coming in and the people who work there and the relationships between the staff. So that really helped me. And then I like anything to do with magic. So I managed to throw that in as well. So it's lots of different things that inspired the story and the setting as well. But yeah, I started writing before I had grey hair.
Yeah. I think I'm going grey.
I don't know.
Yeah. But that's really interesting. Like all those years thinking about the book and to now to doing that. Like like with Madame Tussauds, it's really interesting because you can go through it past them and you think they're actually there. So you being the assistant could have just stood there as like
did.
you was one of
Yeah,
them.
I did like doing that, especially in the Chamber of Horrors, which probably I shouldn't have done, but it was the best place to scare people was down there. So sometimes I would stand still. People would but walk past, and then you suddenly just move, and then they would jump. But
Yeah.
it was a fun job to have. It was good fun because you were just kind of messing around, really.
Yeah. It's it's like the House of Wax, um, which is a film, but
That film, yeah.
yeah.
I don't think I've seen it, but I know it. Yeah, I
Mm.
know of it.
Yeah, it's a horror film, but it's quite if you don't like wax, imagine people as those things, but they're turned into them. Imagine like the House of Two Swords, like us them, but still us. But it's quite creepy,
Yeah,
but
creepy.
um,
Yeah, I do like horror. I like horror
yeah.
films.
Yeah, I do too. I like playing horror things or horror games or watching horror movies. Um, like I don't know, like Friday the
Yeah,
13th and stuff like that. But
yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I think it's because my dad brought me up with horror films when I was young, and now my husband likes horror films, so I can't really get away from them, and I've just grown to enjoy them now. So yeah, I do. I do like watching horror, but it's got to have a
I,
good story to it. It can't just be gory for the sake of it. It's got to have a good story to it.
yeah.
yeah,
I used to. I don't anymore. I'm more of a comedy fan. I used to watch
Yeah,
more
yeah,
horror as a kid. Yeah.
yeah. You have all sort of different things. Um, there's a series called From, and it's an American series actually. And in this series, it's part horror, part mystery. So what it's about is you're all trapped in a town, but you can't get out of it. And every time you get out, It's going in a big circle, like you've left, but you're still in it. Like you literally can't leave. But at night come these creatures, like really weird things. They come for you and they try to hurt the people. And each there's been three. Well, they're releasing the third series in the summer this year, but it's a really good series. Because you still don't know what's happening, but you'll laugh. The theme tune is about 3 to 4. No, you know, like the intro, the start intro. It's about 3-4 minutes long, but you might find that's hard to listen to or watch. But you'll probably watch it because it's a really nice tune. Like
Yeah.
it's really nice. But yeah, I like those kind of things. But it depends what it is.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's got to have a good story to it for me, I think.
Yeah, and like that's part of your book, so yeah, a bit of mystery, a little bit of supernatural.
Yeah, and I wanted to add comedy in there as well because when I was working with the editor, she said to me, so you've got to be careful with mixing comedy and horror because it doesn't always go together. I said, well, sometimes it does because when you're in a really scary situation, sometimes you will joke around, and I know I do that when I'm, in a situation like that, or in an awkward situation. I'll make a joke, because it's a coping mechanism. And I know it's what a lot of people do. So I've managed to make sure there's a good balance because one of the characters, my main character called Wayne, he's quite a joker anyway. So he does make a lot of jokes in the story, but you find out his own story, his backstory. He's got a lot of issues with his family. So his coping mechanism is to just make jokes a lot of the time, make fun of himself, make fun of other people, but it's just his way of dealing with things. So, but yeah, I can't be serious. I'm not very good at being serious myself. So yeah, there's a bit of comedy in the book as well.
I agree with that. Humor is definitely a coping skill. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
yeah. Well, you're being sarcastic all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um.
It's a good way to get to through life, isn't it? Just being light-hearted as well and laugh your way through life. It's like, yeah, life's too short just to be serious all the time. And yeah, I can't help. I think it just comes naturally because my dad is a bit of a joker as well. And so yeah, everyone keeps accusing me of making dad jokes, but yeah, I think I do. It's it's just the way I am.
It is a good way to be because a lot of life is serious. You've got to have a joke every once in a while, otherwise it'd be boring all the time.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I remember. Like I can I can be really serious and make people like think that I'm serious. To say I pretend to be offended sometimes when I'm not. I just try and make it. I guess I try to make them feel bad for me, but I'm not really. I'm taking the piss. Yeah.
Now I know, Mason. Now I
Yeah.
know you're pretending to
Yeah.
be offended.
Well, the odd chance I might be offended, depending what it is. If someone's really mean, of course I will be. But if it's like a jokey way, be fine. Be fine. Um. Yeah. So is that so? That's your first book you've done, is it, Lisa? The one you just done.
Yeah, the first one I've had published, and I actually started writing when I was 12, which was a long, long time ago. Um, and it was just reading for myself, and then I'd get my family to read my stories, and it was always about two characters called Harriet and Wayne, who are now in Hexed. But I always used to write about both of them going on different adventures, and I was inspired by books called The Babysitter's Club. I used to love reading those stories as a teenager. And I used to love all the characters that the author had in her story. So I was inspired by that quite a lot. But then, yeah, I just used to write stories, but just give them to my family to read until somebody, when I then turned 20, I wrote a story called Spellbound. And I started my first job and I gave it to the girls there to read. And they said, why don't you get it published? And I've never considered it. So then I sent it off to various agents and publishers, but they rejected it. with the small rejection slip just saying this isn't for us. And it happened quite a few times, and I thought I probably need to do something about this. I think I need a bit of help because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't really know what help I need with my writing. So then I joined, they were called Cornerstone's Literary Consultancy, and I worked with them for 2 years. And they assigned me with an editor, and it went back and forth for a little bit with my book. It changed titles a few times. From Spellbound, it went to Bewitching Hour, Twinkling Stars, to Gifted. And then it got to the point where they were going to submit it to agent, but the manager said to me, "I'm afraid we can't take it any further. I don't think it's quite right." So then they left it, and it was back with me again, and it sat with me for about a week. And I thought, well, I'm not just going to stop there because I've been working for so long on this story. I'm going to take it further. So then I joined. They're called the Golden Egg Academy. They're similar to Cornerstones, but they work on your story in more further depth. And you get assigned an editor the same way, but they also run workshops, and that really helped me. So it was nice. I got to go up to London a few times and did a few workshops. They worked on my book with me for 7 years, which then became Hexed. So it's had a lot of work done on it. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to teach people that not to give up, because Hex was rejected so many times by different people, and there were many times where I could have just given up with it. The amount of rejection slips I've received, and all this, going back and forth. Over this 23 years, I could have given up, but I thought, I don't want to. I love the characters. I'm really invested in the story. I can't give up, and I didn't want to say to myself, it's never going to happen. Because otherwise, if you put that in your head, that's it. You just give up. So I just carried on. I just kept pushing and pushing until eventually I got there.
Yeah.
It just takes a lot of perseverance and determination to get to where you want to be. But I just say, never give up. If you really want to do something, you really want to get somewhere, just have that in your head and just keep going until you get there.
Yeah, that's an awesome mindset. You're absolutely right. A lot of people would have given up after the first or second rejection, as opposed to taking that as a lesson and learning from it and figuring out, what am I doing wrong? What can I be doing differently? Do I need to learn more, get more experience in this, get support, find a coach? So it's one of those mindsets where it's not necessarily a failure, it's an opportunity to learn. So I'm glad to hear that you did persevere and complete the project. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, that is it. It is just perseverance, and I think more people need that. And that's one thing. So I've been doing a lot of workshops at schools recently. I've been going along on author visits, and that's one thing I wanted to talk to children about, because obviously they're still young at that age, and a lot of them want to be authors as they get older. And so that's what I was trying to say to them: just keep going. You are going to get rejections. It does happen, but you've just got to keep pushing, because what one person doesn't like, somebody else will, because it's any kind of art is subjective. I might read a book and not like it, but then somebody else will absolutely love it. So it just depends. It will land in the hands of somebody who loves it. You just got to keep going, and that's with anything creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good that you do that. Like, you go into school and maybe read it there as well. Parts in the book that
Yeah,
you're talking about, which it helps them. It helps them if they, like you say, if they want to be an author as well. It's not an easy process at the start.
right.
And it's good that you didn't quit, because especially it's hard. I guess it's hard work doing the book in the first place, thinking of what you're going to put in there, going to the different places. Like you've said, you've been to the places that's in the book, and you've decided that I'm going to add that in. And maybe like a lot of people probably think that don't know anything about books. They probably think you've done that in a couple of hours, and you've done it in a couple of hours, when really you've done it in years. So it's all been
Yeah,
put together
yeah.
in years of your life to now. So I think that's something that people won't get until you tell them.
Yeah, they don't. Because when I asked the children to guess how long it took me, none of them guessed 23 years. Some of them guessed a couple of weeks, 5 weeks, a couple of months. None of them said 23 years. They're all their mouths were open when I told them that's how long it took me. But I thought, hopefully the next one won't take me that long because I'll be very old by then. So yeah, I aim to quicken up the process.
Oh, so when was the book published?
Last year, last November, it was published. So yeah, I'm still pushing with it because the publisher they market it for the first 4 weeks it's out after its release date, and then it's up to the author whether they want to push it or not, whether they want to be proactive. So some authors have just kind of sat back and just waited to see what happens. Um, but I thought, yeah, I don't want that. I'm just going to keep pushing. I've been trying to think of so many different avenues of things I could do with it. So yeah, I've called various bookshops to stock it. Yeah, I've now got this advert out on ITVX around in our local area. Just because I thought it'd be nice to get other people to see it. I've just really gone out there, and I'm just going to continue to push it because I feel like I owe it that much since I've worked on it for so long to give it the spotlight it deserves.
Yeah. So have you tried marketing as far as social media, like creating a page specific to your book? Do you have that already?
Yeah, so I have a book page and I set that up in 2012 when I started with it. So it's kind of gone on. So it's nice because a lot of people have followed the journey. And I have got a TikTok account. It's just getting used to TikTok. I'm still, trying to find my feet with that one. There's so many different platforms. Um, Instagram I'm also on as well, and Twitter, but I'd probably tend to use Facebook and Instagram more than the others at the moment.
Yeah, like Twitter is for, well, Twitter's normally just, it's like a chat really, isn't it? Twitter. So
Yeah,
like it's dependent on what some things, like every social media, isn't it? You might, one post you put on might get more, people might see it more than another.
yeah, that's right. And I seem to do better with Instagram or Facebook with the posts. Instagram's gone up quite a bit lately, and I guess it's just following other writers for me and bookshops. And then the more bookshops I visit, the more connections I seem to make, which is really good. I want to try and get to America. I want to get it because the book's only available in the UK. Um, I think the Kindle version is available everywhere, but not the paperback version. If I want the paperback version available in America, I'd have to pay more for them to do that.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And it's good for it to be more, to go more places. Um,
Yeah, yeah, it's just getting it out there.
yeah, because with like, I use TikTok, but not for, well, I use it for fun, really. I think I just use it for fun. Like I'll do Doctor Who videos, and then there's one I like football, so I'll predict scores on there. But yeah, it's more for fun app, I think. But there are people on there who do things like that, like promote books, or there's a whole book page. I think they call it Book Talk
Yeah, book
or
talk.
something.
Yeah, yeah, I'm learning about that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess everyone, uses social media for their own reasons, and
Mhm.
yeah, nothing wrong with that at all.
yeah, and they all, you can use however you want, really. So
Exactly, yeah,
um,
because it's your page, it's your platform. So yeah,
yeah, like it's it's one of those things. So with the name of your book, like I'm really interested because how did that come about? Did the name change lots of times, or has that always been the name?
it changed a few times. It started off as Spellbound, and that was in 2000 when I had started writing it. And then it went on to Twinkling Stars because the characters used to have, because I had magic powers, they used to originally have a star on their hand when they had magic. But the editor said to me, it sounds a bit too Barbie-ish. So she
Mm.
suggested to change the name. And then it became Bewitching Hour because the magic kind of happened at night. But then I changed it again. It then changed to gifted because they've been gifted magic powers. And then I changed the title again to Hexed in Time. And then my editor said to me, this was only a few years ago, she said, maybe you could just narrow it down and just call it Hexed. It's a lot more snappier. So that's how it became Hexed. So it's just nice, short, and snappy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can kind of tell that it's, about magic with the word Hexed, and it's got a purpley
Yeah.
front cover, and yeah.
Hexed reminds me of the shape. Like so you could do the magic and then
Oh,
um
yeah. Oh, yeah. Didn't think of that.
yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Like, so is it just in the book? Do you have pictures as well in there, or is it just all words?
It's just all words, yeah. So you've got the front cover, but then it's just, yeah, all words.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun doing the front cover because the publisher, they were quite good, and they asked me whether I had any ideas for the cover. They were going to create it, but they just said to me, have a look on the iStock libraries, and they asked me to have a look at any images that made me think of the front cover or that I was inspired by. So I gave them a link to lots of pictures of gravestones, and they said, "Is there anything particular you want on the front cover?" And I said, "Well, I said definitely a key because the key plays quite a big part in Hex." And I said, "I like the color purple. Purple makes me think of magic." And so they did. They incorporated all my ideas, and there's a big picture of a key on the front cover, and it's all silver embossed, and then there's purple in the background with all gravestones behind it. So they made it look really good, better than I could have imagined.
Mhm. That's really cool. Like around the picture, like because but there's so many different things doing it, this and that. Like you have all the words that you could write. Then you probably have to brief read the whole book before it's done. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I did. I did enjoy doing that because I hadn't read Hex for a while, and they said to me, "Can you just read over the book before we put it to print because you need to make sure there's no mistakes in it." So I took the day off work and I went to a local cafe, which is, do you know Roots and Grooves Cafe in
Yeah.
Colchester, Mason?
Yeah, I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice because it's got 3 floors. Downstairs, you've got the main cafe. It's got lots of, you're surrounded by plants. And then on the middle floor, you've got 2 booths that you can go and sit in. It's got couches, it's lovely. And then on the top floor, you've got a vinyl area with records. It's quite a different sort of cafe. So I got there early so I could get this booth to myself. And I just spent the whole day in this booth, and I had breakfast there. I had lunch, and I was there from about 9 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock. So by the time I left, when I got there, the kids were leaving for school. When I left, they'd finished school. So I was there for basically a whole school day, just reading over the whole of Hexed, just enjoying a nice hot chocolate and a nice breakfast and a nice lunch. It was just so relaxing. It's such a lovely day. And I got to do that twice while they were looking over my book and I was reading over it. So, but yeah, and it's a lovely place as well, a lovely cafe. So I made sure I mentioned them in my acknowledgement section, just for putting up with me for the whole day, taking over their booth.
That sounds awesome. Well, I've never been there myself. It sounds pretty cool though.
Yeah, it's a really nice place. Yeah, they're quite friendly and relaxed in there as well.
Yeah. Like you find that in a lot of cafes. Like went in Costa earlier, look all these people on their computers just working and that. Um,
Yeah.
it's awesome. Um, but Angela, do you have any questions about the book anymore?
Well, I'm interested in hearing about some of the reviews or feedback that you have gotten and what maybe age range or population of people are responding to it.
So I've had a lot of adults reading it actually, and I was quite surprised that they enjoyed it because it's aimed at 9 to 14s. I think getting reviews was one of the things I was most scared about before it's published because I thought, this is my baby and it's going out into the public for the first time. I've only ever had my family read it, and obviously they're going to have to say they like it. But people I don't know who are going to read it, they're going to be honest. And my friend said to me, "Don't read reviews." I thought, how can you not read reviews? It's too difficult. And so what I did with my publisher, they suggested to me, have you ever heard of a book blog tour? And I hadn't. And they said basically what happens is you contact the book blog tour, the person who's in charge will advertise your book and just say who's interested in reading and reviewing this book. And whoever's interested will sign up. And there were 17 people who signed up to review my book when it was published. So my publisher sent out my book to all these 17 people who had signed up, and I didn't know them. And once they read it, they've all been given certain dates that they had to post a review. So they had to post a review on their own Instagram. They had to post it on Goodreads and Amazon as well. And so they have to give it either 3 stars or more. If they feel that they're not going to like it or don't want to read it, they have to tell the person who's in charge, and they won't, and they'll tell me. But that didn't happen. And all their reviews were 4 and 5 stars. And I was really, really shocked because I thought, oh, every single day, I thought, oh, I'm going to check Amazon and see what they've written. But it was all really good reviews. And a lot of them have been asking for a sequel. And yeah, I was just really overwhelmed. I couldn't believe they enjoyed it. And a lot of them were saying, you know, even though Hexed is aimed at 9 to 14s, they said it can also be for adults because they enjoyed it as well. So yeah, it was a really good thing to do. I think now it's harder to find time to, oh, I don't know, I find it difficult to get people to review the book now. Yeah, because a lot of my friends had read it, and when I had the book launch, I had lots of my friends coming along. They bought the book, and you always hear when people start reading it, but then you don't know whether they finished it or when they finished it because they don't say. As I did do that book blog tour, because at least I know, you know, what all those 17 people thought of the book and that they did enjoy it. And when I went to the school, a couple of the kids had already started reading it, and they said to me, "It's really funny. We're really enjoying your book." And I thought, "Oh, that's a relief because you are the proper age who are meant to be reading it." So yeah, it was a relief to know that yeah, people are enjoying it.
That's
But I'm sure there are people who
awesome.
do that won't.
Yeah. Have you ever thought, because you said the book's kind of set around like younger audience, even though adults have read it, have you thought, because you teach like drama, have you thought about maybe having your book in there and acting it out and everything?
I'd love to do something like that. Yeah, although the children I teach, they're 3 to 4 year olds, so they're a bit too young to do anything like that. But I mentioned to my local theatre, you know, the Headgate Theatre.
Mm.
So I've done some acting there, and I suggested to the lady in charge, um, I gave her a proposal for a workshop to do with pets. And I'd already kind of, you know, detailed everything I could think of, and it was really to help people get into character. So it was mixing acting and creative writing as well, because it was something that I did. I did a workshop with. Have you heard of Mark McGann?
Yeah,
He's an actor. Yeah, so he's the brother of Paul McGann.
yeah.
And so he ran this workshop in Bath, and it was related to the Golden Egg Academy, and he was teaching us to bring our character to life. And so it was me and a few other writers from the Golden Egg Academy, and it was a really good workshop because he was focusing on the Blood Brothers script. I'd never seen the film, I've never read the book, but he gave us all the script. He got us to get into pairs, and we had to read this certain scene from the Blood Brothers, and he wanted us to act it out, and also get to know the characters as well. And it was great because then me and this other lady, we were together, we had to act out this scene. And he said to me afterwards, "Have you acted before?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, you can tell." And that was such a compliment coming from this actor. I thought, wow, that's amazing. But I really liked his idea of that workshop, bringing your character to life. So I've taken that with me now. And that's what I thought I'd like to teach other people to do that is, you know, when they're creative writing, I find that acting really helps me get into my character's head. It helps me get to know them a lot more as well, and teaches you, you know, to learn what they like, what they don't like, how they behave, what their facial expressions are like. So yeah, I'm just waiting for the lady at the Headgate to confirm what date I can run this workshop, and then see if anybody wants to sign up. And but yeah, I thought I'd love to pass this on to other people as well.
Yeah, that's really good. I think, especially with Mark there, they're helping
Yeah, he
out.
was brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was fantastic. So down to earth as well.
yeah. So is Paul, actually, because I've met Paul a few times. Um, and he's lovely. Like when you see him, he talks however you lot, however you want to talk. Um, yeah, and I heard him on the podcast last year, so it was lovely. Uh,
Wow,
yeah. Um, we normally
amazing.
we talked a lot about Doctor Who Fury because it was the anniversary, but talked about other things. He didn't know what autism. Well, he knew what autism was, but there's things we talked about maybe just to get like to understand a bit more. Um, but yeah, it's great that, well, I guess the whole family is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the whole
Mhm.
acting family.
Yeah, definitely. So with Saturday Night Takeaway, Lisa, do you? I know you did it before, but if anyone's listening out there is from America, they're probably like Andrew, who haven't got a clue what it is. Do you want to explain a little bit about what it is and your kind of involvement in it?
Yeah, sure. So Saturday Night Takeaway is an entertainment show in the UK, and it's normally on for about 5 weeks or so, and it's hosted by these two guys called Ant and Dec. They do all sorts of things in the UK. They seem to be on TV all the time. They're quite popular over here. But the thing I like about them is they're always getting the public involved in their shows rather than celebrities all the time. So they do a whole mix of things. They also offer a lot of prizes. They play lots of pranks. So Saturday Night Takeaway is like a 1 hour show, entertainment show, where they have music, they have celebrities, they have members of the public coming on. Especially if they've done something for charity, they'll bring them on the stage, have a chat. They might offer them a holiday. Um, but it's just great. So it feels like a night out when you're watching Saturday Night Takeaway, which is probably why it's called Saturday Night Takeaway. Rather than going out, you're just sitting there watching this show. And it's just such a good laugh. It makes you laugh. It lifts your spirits. So it's a good thing to watch if you're having a down day. Just watch Saturday Night Takeaway. But yeah, so they started their new series, which is on at the moment in February. But before they did that, they allow the public to nominate people. So if you've done something for charity, they allow you to nominate someone online. And so last year they did that while they were running their show last year. Um, they mentioned on their show, if you know somebody that's done something really special for charity, you can nominate them. All you have to do is go onto our website. So my husband did. He nominated me. He went onto their website. I don't know what he wrote, but he nominated me because I've been raising money for Bowel Cancer UK since 2018 now. My best friend Stevie, she passed away aged 34 from bowel cancer in 2018, and she was so inspirational. And I promised her, I said, I'm going to keep fundraising for Bowel Cancer UK because that charity was quite close to her heart. So I've been doing various things. I started off doing a superhero run. Then I arranged a big charity event for her a year after, managed to raise quite a bit of money. And then I did a skydive, then an abseil. And I tried to think of a way I could top that. And I thought about what about a wing walk? So I'm doing a wing walk next month for charity. And so, yeah, my husband nominated me for all these things I've been doing. And then earlier this year, he got a phone call from ITV and they asked him about all what he'd nominated me for, and they said, "Can you tell us a bit more about your wife?" So he had to explain everything, and there was a few phone calls. And then he got another phone call from them a week later, asking him exactly the same thing, but in more depth. And they told him not to tell him that they'd had this phone call. He had to keep it secret. And they said, "You can tell your wife that you need to keep off the 27th of February, um, because that's the day I think that we were due to go and watch the show." But they said, "We can't promise you that you're going to be on the show because we've had a lot of nominations coming through." So they said, "We're interested in your story, but we can't promise you that we're going to, let you onto the show. We'll let you know a week before." So yeah, it was a lot of waiting around. Then finally, a week before, they called Luke, my husband, and they said, "Yeah, you've got tickets to a Saturday night takeaway. You need to come up to London to the TV studios And so yeah, we went up there to visit the studios on the 27th of February. And it was amazing. So everybody who was there were all there for a certain reason because they'd been nominated, and it's the first time Ant and Dec have ever done anything like that before. Normally they'll have a mixed audience, but for that first show of the series, all the audience were there because they'd done something special for charity. And so in the audience, you had in one row, it was fundraisers, and that was the row I was sitting in. In another row, it was foster carers. In another row, it was people who work for the NHS. And so Ant and Dec then announced, okay, everybody who's here tonight, you're all here for a reason. You're all here because you've been nominated for something that you've done, either your fundraising efforts. And they said, we'd like to award you all with a holiday. And they said, all 411 members of this audience, we're giving you all a free holiday. And when I watch it back, I can see the shocked looks on me and Luke's faces. We just kind of looked at each other in shock. But yeah, so we've won a holiday to the Caribbean. And so we're going there next January. So it's a whole all-inclusive holiday on this Caribbean cruise. And it was just amazing. So, you had a whole choice of holidays to choose from. There were about 42 different resorts. You could either go somewhere in Europe, places like Tenerife, Spain, Italy, or you could pick a cruise to somewhere, which would be Italy or, somewhere like that. But I really wanted the Caribbean one because I've never been. I've always wanted to go. I've never been able to afford it. And I've always wanted to go on a cruise. So, then a member of TUI, who it's with, called me and they booked it. So, next January we're going on this Caribbean cruise, all thanks to Ant and Dec and ITV. It was just amazing that they've acknowledged everybody's efforts like that, because you don't expect people to thank you in that way. When I raise money for charity, I don't do it to get thanks for everyone or to get appreciation. I do it because I want to do it. I want to raise money for Bowel Cancer UK, and so you don't expect something like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's pretty awesome, I think. All
Yeah.
all the process to get on there, to not know that was going to happen.
No. Yeah, it was a shock for, I think, the whole audience. I think everybody was hoping, they might get a holiday, because that's what Ant and Dec do. They give people holidays, but it's not normally the whole entire audience. They normally have something called the happiest minute of the week in their show. So I'll run around to certain members of the audience saying, "Oh, you've done this for charity, you get a takeaway giveaway." And then once that minute is over, they'll go on to their next segment of the show. But this time they gave every single audience member the holiday, but it was only just for that one show. Then after that, it's gone back to normal again. So the happiest minute of the week. So they just go to various members of the audience and offer them this holiday.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's quite a nice shock.
Yeah.
You'll have to come back and do a second episode and tell us about the trip.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm really looking forward to going to the Caribbean.
A good start
dream.
to the 2025.
Yeah, definitely. I know, because January is normally a month where everyone's like, oh no, beginning of the year, nobody's got any money. So yeah, it'll be nice.
Yeah.
Nice way to start the year.
Normally everyone said, "Oh, I don't want it to be next year," and then we got you. I can't wait.
Yeah, I know I am. I'm just looking forward to next year now.
Yeah, awesome. I found this really good. I mean, it is great. It is great that they've done that for all the people that have done what their butts off doing all these different things, and you get rewarded.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really kind of them. And yeah, I think they wanted their last show to go off with a bang. So yeah, I don't know what they've got in store tomorrow, because tomorrow, is the last one, and then I think they're going to focus on other things for now. But I'm sure they'll end up going back to the takeaway again, because they enjoy it so much.
I'm sure they need a break after all the stuff they do.
They're always on TV, aren't
they? Yeah, they had this show on ITV. They done this game show. They done, and then they had another one. They do the I Must Have Get Me Out of Here. So
yeah. They do a lot of things. Yeah, so Angela, they started off as young actors in this children's TV show called Biker Grove, and that was back when I was a teenager. Um, but ever since then, after that, they went on to singing. Um, then they stopped singing, and then they ended up presenting a kind of Saturday morning show for the kids. And they've just gone on further, they've just got better and better and bigger and better. And yeah, they're doing really well now with their career. There's so much
That's
going on. They don't do
awesome.
singing anymore now.
Hmm. Yeah, and then they're on Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah, Britain's Got Talent as well.
They're they're at the
So
side.
many things.
They're at the side there. Like it's just so awesome. Wow, how they do that. Like, because not many presenters do that. They don't include the audience. So some may, but not many just have the whole show dominated around that. Because I think probably every episode they do some with the audience.
Yeah, they do, which is nice because so many things are just celebrity led now, isn't it? So many things on TV have got, it's all about celebrities. So it's nice, yeah, because it used to be, I think back in, the 80s, the 90s, a lot of the game shows had, just us normal people going on TV shows, and then they kind of stopped. Now it's all celebrities. So it's nice that Anton Deck's still focused on members of the public. It's the same as Stephen Mulhern. He's another presenter in the UK. He also focuses a lot of his shows on the public.
Yeah, it's really good how these things happen, and then you go on. So
Yeah.
yeah, so was that last year you went on it? Was it recorded then for you to go for it to be appeared
No,
this year?
it was live.
Oh, was it
It
live?
was Yeah, it was live. So my husband nominated me last year, but he only got the phone call this year for this series. So yeah, the show was live. They only pre-recorded a couple of bits. Um, there was a bit with a couple of kids in it because they were misbehaving, so they had to
Yeah.
pre-record it. And then there was another section outdoors. But other than that, it's all live.
Oh, uh, it's even better if it's live.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, live
Yeah.
live TV, good fun.
Yeah, it is good because it's not like you have to keep this. Well, you're not keeping a secret for a year like some shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Yeah.
like as you all know, with acting, if you're in a show and the people of the show ain't done anything, like Doctor Who, for example. Say you're in Doctor Who, and you can't, and no one's told you that you're in it, or they haven't announced that you're in it. You can't say anything. And you can't even when they announce, you can't say what your character is or what you've done.
Right, that's really hard, isn't it? It must be
Yeah,
so difficult not be able to tell people. I'm not very good at keeping secrets.
yeah, and it's
What
funny.
stuff I've done.
I went to a convention at the weekend, and this actor was there who's been in various different programs, but because Doctor Who's very spoiler led, you always get spoilers. And they said, "How do you cope with keeping a secret for so long?" And they said, "Well, normally, once I've shot it a year ago, I forget what's happened with what I've done, so they don't
Right,
remember."
yeah. Oh yeah.
Because a lot of shows now are like TV programs are recorded well in advance. Um, like it's good in a way, but at the same time, you're gonna forget you've appeared in it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's yeah, difficult.
yeah. Like when I saw David Tennant, I asked him, because when you meet famous people, you got to be very careful what you say. So you're not gonna say silly questions like what happened in in the episode you're gonna be in, because I'm not gonna answer it. So I asked questions like, because I was really because people like David Tennant, you don't have long. You don't have long. And
Yeah.
so I was really funny. I did it because I had two autographs, which are on the wall there, right there,
Oh
and
yeah.
they were in this big tube. They was in this tube, and I take a few minutes while talking to him while opening it, so they can't kick me out because he hadn't signed it yet. So in a talk we had about a 2 minutes, nearly 3 minutes conversation, but that's long. You may not think that's long, but that's long when you speak to someone like David Tennant, who's a Hollywood star. But in the background, you've got the bodyguards saying to my dad, Mum, he needs to hurry up. He's been too long because there's like 300 other people behind me.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I wanted to be there as long as I could. Like talking about it, and the questions that I asked, what would you say the 60th is going to be without giving that away too much? Because that was before I saw him. That was in the 60th, around this time, or May last year it were. But yeah, you got to be really careful what you say, because it'd be waste if you said something and they can't answer you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want to think of a really unique question, don't you? Something that you always want to know that other people aren't going to ask because you've got this one chance
Yeah.
to talk to this person that you admire.
Yeah, 'cause I think one of the questions I asked, because I like going to different locations, so I said, "What's your favourite location?" And then he said, "It's probably Rome." He went to Rome, but the parts they filmed at are all burnt now. So he said it's
Mm.
not very good. But I asked him a few questions, um, and yeah, it's very nice. Like people like Paul McGann, you'll be have longer. Um, not because they're not as popular, but they're just they're doing more of these things. Like a person like David
Yeah,
Tennant, especially in the UK, not as you don't see him at a lot of these things. When I saw the
no,
opportunity to see him, um,
you grabbed it.
I had to do it. I had to do
Yeah,
it.
don't
Um,
blame you.
to do it. But yeah, it's just those things. Like I guess I do it sometimes. Like with the podcast, like I had like Paul McGann. I kept that a secret till the episode went out. It was funny because we went to a Comic Con at the start of the year in Leicester. And then after that, I asked him there to come on, and he said, "Yeah." So we did it the following Wednesday, and then we've done it. But then I see him again in November. The episode ain't out yet. It's quite funny because I see him and say, "Can you do a video promoting the episode on the podcast?" And he said, "Well, wait, what? It's not out yet." So yeah, no, it was all for the 60th because the 60th is November. So it was a few days after I saw him again, and he did this video. It was really good. And then out, and it's probably the most popular episode on the podcast. It did really well. Um, so things like that, you when you speak to these people, especially on the podcast, you might get nervous. Don't know what to say to them, but it's nice when you have an opportunity to do that, because you don't you would never think that would happen beforehand,
Yeah, that's amazing.
I think. Um, but guys, it's been really good speaking to you, Lisa, on the podcast today.
And
Uh,
you, both of you. Yeah, thank
mm.
you.
It's been really good. But
Thank
before
you
we
for having
go,
me.
yeah, it's been really nice. Before we go, I'm gonna give you both the chance to say anything that you want to say. It might be advice, it might be where people can find you, and stuff like that. So, Angela, do you have any last words that you want to say?
Well, I just want to say I've enjoyed this conversation, and much of it is based in the UK. So I have a lot of looking up and doing some research. I'm interested um, in just reading, and I know the book is not available in the US, but I'm sure there are some reviews, or like you mentioned, like the little book nooks that share information and the gist of the story. So it's been a pleasure meeting you. And in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, I just want to remind all of the viewers, all of the listeners, you do not have to suffer in silence. There are crisis numbers and crisis lines that are available to you, even if you just need to talk. It may be early in the morning, late in the evening, but you can always either call, text, and maybe there's an option for instant messaging. I'm not exactly sure, but for the US, the number is 988. That's the emergency crisis number. And Mason, do you remember the one for the UK? I believe it's
911, I think.
there's 911, and there might be one that's 111.
Yeah,
But make sure you
111.
look that up. 111. Awesome. It's been a while since I've had to recall that. But for the USA, if you dial 988, there's a licensed mental health professional waiting there to support you and address your needs. You can either text if there's some hesitancy or anxiety around making the call. I know that can be difficult if there's something you've never done before. Also, calling 911 or going to your nearest emergency room. Do not suffer in silence. Do not wait until there is a national or a celebrity fatality. Take care of your mental health.
definitely. I I couldn't agree
Mhm.
more. Thanks, Angela. Lisa, is there anything else that you want to say at the end?
No, just thank you for inviting me on your podcast. I've really enjoyed talking to both of you. It's been really, really inspiring. Lovely to meet you, Angela. You're such an inspiration.
Thank
Enable
you.
people like you. But yeah, just really a message to people is not to give up. If there's something that you always wanted to do, you've got a dream, you can make it in, you can turn it into reality. Just persevere, determination, and just believe in yourself. It's not just a Disney quote, believing in yourself. It's true. It's reality. If you believe in yourself enough, you can make anything happen. Just keep pushing.
Believe in yourself. Yeah, I think that's a really
Yeah,
good quote. 'Cause, like, especially after what we talked about, like for all those years with your book. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
It's just self-belief, which not a lot of people have. They need more of it.
yeah,
People need to believe in themselves more.
definitely. I completely agree. There's so many, and today's world, a lot of people judge other people, and
Hmm.
sort of we find that people are mean, and we if we just be positive as we can kind of bring
Yeah,
them. It's better to be positive. I know we can't all the time. If things happen all the time, we will get sad, but if we try and believe in ourselves more, we'll think more about good stuff than the bad stuff.
that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
definitely. But to anyone listening and watching today, we hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a really good episode speaking to Lisa today and Angela as well. But we hope you enjoyed the episode. We hope that you have a good rest of the month. Depending when this goes out, I don't know. It might already be the end, but if not, have a nice rest of the month and rest of your day. But thank you, everyone, and see you in the next episode.
Thank you.